Welcome to Mind Tier Learning. In today's GCSE Maths lesson, we're learning how to multiply and divide algebraic terms. So far, you may have practiced collecting like terms, where we add or subtract terms with the same variable part. Today, we are moving on to multiplication and division. These skills are important because they appear in simplifying expressions, expanding brackets, factorizing, solving equations, and using index laws. Before we begin, remember to like this video, subscribe to Mind Tier Learning, and follow along carefully. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to multiply coefficients and variables to form a single term. You will understand and use index notation, including squares and cubes. You will apply the first law of indices when multiplying terms. Finally, you will practice dividing algebraic terms by cancelling common factors. The key idea is that algebra follows clear rules. Once you know the rules, multiplying and dividing terms becomes much more manageable. Let's begin with the key vocabulary. A product is the result of multiplying two or more terms together. A quotient is the result of dividing one term by another. A power, also called an index, shows how many times a base is multiplied by itself. A factor is a part of a term that, when multiplied with other parts, produces the whole expression. For example, in 6xy, the factors include 6x and y. Before we multiply terms, let's quickly recap collecting like terms. When we add or subtract algebraic terms, they must have the exact same variable part. For example, 3a plus 2a equals 5a because both terms contain a. But 3a plus 2b cannot be simplified further because a and b are different variables. Also remember that the sign belongs to the term that follows it. So, in an expression like 7x minus 3x, the minus sign belongs to the 3x. Let's do a quick check. Simplify the expression 4a plus 7, b minus 2, a plus b. Is the answer number 1, 2a plus 8b. Number 2, 6a plus 8b. Number 3, 10ab. Number 4, 2a plus 6b. Pause the video and work it out before we check the answer. Remember to collect the a terms and the b terms separately. The correct answer is 2a plus 8b. Here's why. First, collect the a terms. 4a minus 2, a equals 2a. Then collect the b terms, 7b plus b equals 8b, because b means 1b. So the simplified expression is 2a plus 8b. We do not write 10ab because adding a terms and b terms does not mean multiplying them together. Now, let's move on to multiplication. The important difference is this. When adding and subtracting, terms must be like terms. But when multiplying, you can multiply any terms together, even if they are not like terms. For example, 3 times a is written as 3a. In algebra, we usually hide the multiplication sign to keep things tidy. The key method is to multiply the numbers first, then write the letters in alphabetical order. Let's go step by step. To multiply 4a by 3b, first multiply the numbers. 4 times 3 equals 12, then multiply the letters. A times b equals ab, so 4a times 3, b equals 12ab. Now let's try a negative example. Negative 2x multiplied by 5y. First, negative 2 times 5 equals negative 10. Then, x times y equals xy. So the final answer is negative 10xy. Always deal with the number part and the variable part separately. When a variable is multiplied by itself, we use powers, also called indices. For example, a times a is written as a squared. A times a is written as a cubed. This is much quicker than writing long strings of repeated letters. So instead of writing x times x times x times x, we can write x to the power of 4. Index notation is just a shortcut for repeated multiplication. Now, let's look at the first law of indices. When multiplying terms with the same base, we add the powers. For example, a squared times a cubed equals a to the power of 2 plus 3. So the answer is a to the power of 5. This works because a squared means a times a, and a cubed means a times a times a. Altogether, there are 5 a's multiplied together. But be careful, a plus a is not a squared. A plus a equals 2a. A times a equals a squared. Now, let's simplify and order these results from the smallest coefficient to the largest coefficient. We have 5a times -1, 2a times 3a squared, 2a times 2a, and 3a times 4b. First, simplify each expression. 5. a times -1 equals -5a. 2. a times 3a squared equals 6a cubed. 2a times 2a equals 4a squared. 3a times 4b equals 12ab. Now we order the coefficients from smallest to largest. -5, then 4, then 6, then 12. The order from smallest coefficient to largest coefficient should be 5a times -1 equals -5a. 2a times 2a equals 4a squared. 2a times 3a squared equals 6a cubed. 3a times 4b equals 12ab. The coefficients are -5, 4, 6, and 12. Remember, when ordering by coefficient, focus on the number part of each term. Now, let's look at division. In algebra, we often write division as a fraction rather than using the divide symbol. For example, 10a divided by 2 can be written as 10a over 2. To simplify it, divide the coefficients. 10 divided by 2 equals 5. The a stays as it is, so 10a divided by 2 simplifies to 5a. Writing division as a fraction makes it easier to see what can be simplified or cancelled. When dividing algebraic terms, we can cancel common factors that appear in both the numerator and the denominator. For example, x cubed divided by x. X cubed means x times x times x. If we divide by x, one x cancels, leaving x times x. So the result is x squared. This is another way of seeing the index law for division. When dividing terms with the same base, subtract the powers. Let's do a term checkup. You need to match each expression to the correct simplified answer. The expressions are 15xy over 3y, a plus a, 5a times 2b, x squared times x to the power of 4. The possible answers are x to the power of 6, 10ab, 5x, 3a. Pause the video and try matching them before we check the answers. Let's check the answers. 15xy over 3y simplifies to 5x. This is because 15 divided by 3 is 5, and the y cancels with the y. A plus a equals 3a. 5a times 2b equals 10ab. x squared times x to the power of 4 equals x to the power of 6, because when multiplying same bases, we add the powers. So the answers are 5x, 3a, 10ab, and x to the power of 6. Now, let's finish with a final challenge. A student simplified the expression 3x squared times 4x by writing the answer as 12x squared. Explain why they are incorrect and what the correct answer should be. Pause the video and think about both parts of the term. Did the student multiply the coefficients correctly? And did they deal with the powers of x correctly? The student multiplied the coefficients correctly. 3 times 4 equals 12. But they forgot to apply the law of indices to the variables. X squared times x means x squared times x to the power of 1. When multiplying terms with the same base, we add the powers. So x squared times x equals x cubed. Therefore, 3x squared times 4x equals 12x cubed, not 12x squared. That's the end of today's lesson on multiplying and dividing algebraic terms. You should now be able to multiply coefficients, combine variables, use powers, apply the first law of indices, and divide terms by cancelling common factors. Remember, for multiplication, multiply the numbers first, then deal with the variables. For division, cancel common factors where possible. If this lesson helped, please like the video, subscribe to Mindtier Learning, and watch the next GCSE Maths lesson to keep building your algebra confidence.